Thank you for watching NMH at 1, where we highlight the news making headlines in the land of the brave and beyond, ranging from current affairs, community stories, sports and economic news. In the news today, 13 million Namibian dollars for Mariental development. French University to return human remains. MTC forced to reinstate suspended company secretary. I am Diana Master and this is NMH at 1. Midday news update coming right up. First ran Namibia Group CEO Conrad Dempsey during the launch of a book titled Actualizing the African Economic Vision, a practical handbook on the AFCFTA, said that the book will help small and medium enterprises to leverage everything encompassed in the trade agreement.
Conrad Dempsey, I'm CEO of First Rand Namibia. We're here at the book launch of this wonderful little book, Actualizing the African Economic Vision, and it's a real practical guide for any business person, big or small, on how to leverage what's intended in the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. So we really encourage everybody to, grab a copy. If you're a small business person or a bigger business person, you always wanted, how do you access other markets into Africa? I think this is the answer. Have a read. We really gained a lot of value from it in understanding what the terms of the agreements are.
Remember to engage with these stories on our social media throughout the broadcast. Visual news coming up after the break.
Welcome to Active Kids, a daily TV show that sparks creativity, learning, and fun for young minds. With exciting activities and lessons, Active Kids inspires curiosity and a love for learning.
New face to the 15.
The perfect mix of play and education. Don't miss out on the fun. Tune in to Active Kids on NTV every weekday at 10 o'clock and let the adventure begin.
Getting into today's visual news clips, NAMRA hosted an awareness session on the Authorized Economic Operator Program aimed at improving the import and export process. AEO Coordinator Francina Shigweda tells us more.
From those trading partners. So this is really the impact that the program is here to offer. It is also here to support industrialization and also the trade facilitation agenda of our country and also of SACU. So really this is the program. I'll just give you a small background of the framework, international framework, that we also heard from the Secretary General. He made reference of the Safe Framework of Standard. So the program itself, AEO, the Safe Framework of Standard has 3 pillars. So pillar 1, it talks to customs, where it is encouraging customs authorities to be able to talk to one another and also integrate their processes. The second pillar is actually where customs to business trade partnership. And this is where we actually fall under the program of AEO, where it is then said, gone are those days where we are working in isolation, where we as customs or the authorities should actually be holding hands with our trading partners, come up with programs that will actually benefit all of us. So the third pillar then is then also customs to other government agencies, where we also don't even refer to them as other government. What is other? We say in NAMRA we are calling them partner government agency. If we are able to partner with other government agencies, we are then able to facilitate that trade, because we recognize that customs is not the only player at the point of entry. So it doesn't help we have a beautiful program like this and then the other sector stops you or stops your consignment. So this is where then there is pillar 3 saying customs, we should be able to partner with other government agencies to make sure that we facilitate trade, we reduce all the bottlenecks that are there to ensure that there is a greater benefit for all of us in the trading community at large.
Mines Minister Tom Alwendo says the Diamond Board plays an important role in advising the government on policy matters related to the diamond mining industry. Alwendo made the comments at a press briefing to announce the new members of the Diamond Board of Namibia. Let's have a look.
The Diamond Act, as we know it, is the act that establishes the Diamond Board, where the act says there shall be a Diamond Act, and the main function, or probably the only function of the board, is to advise the minister responsible for mines and energy on matters relating to the diamond industry. And therefore there is a distinction between this board and the normal board that we know of, for example, the board of the SOEs. This is not a board like where they take decisions on anything, but they advise the minister on issues that relates to the diamond industry. And this is an important function because as we all know, the diamond industry play a very, very crucial, important role in our economy. For example, in terms of our total export that come from the diamond, for the mining industry as a whole, more than 50% of that export value come from the diamond industry. In 2022, the total revenue that went to the treasury from the mining sector as a total, 55% of that came from the diamond sector only. So that is really an indication that the diamond sector is a very, very important sector of our economy, and therefore we need to deal with it with due care, and the Diamond Board has got a role to play in how we then manage this industry that is so important.
Coming up after the break, dead civil servants still on Labour Ministry's payroll, AG fines. An update on the story follows in the newspaper review segment.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Thank you for staying with NMH at 1. We now take a look at what the lead stories are in Namibia's daily newspapers. The Namibian Sun's front page reports that an audit by the Office of the Auditor General has found that the Ministry of Labour does not have mechanisms in place to verify whether it is still paying salaries to staff members who have since died. The findings are detailed in the Ministry's audit report for the 2022 financial year. The audit found deceased workmen's compensation employees still active on the payroll module of the ministry, and they were paid a monthly benefit even after the date of death, it noted. Auditor General Junius Kanjeke noted that the ministry could not determine who among staff members it was paying remuneration to had died. The account officer indicated that even though the beneficiaries are on the ministerial payroll, the ministry does not have access to information on whether they are still alive or not, the report said. The ministry, the Auditor General found, was reliant on the records of the Social Security Commission to verify which of its employees had died. On the paper's page 3, the successful implementation of several development projects in the Hardap region has contributed significantly to its growth, Governor Solomon April said. During his State of the Region address yesterday, he reflected on the region's shortcomings as well as the efforts made by local authorities to improve the lives of residents. April said a number of projects have been completed by the Mariental municipality, while others are currently underway, with the accumulative value of the implemented projects in the 2022-2023 financial year totaling 13 million Namibian dollars. Moving over, Republican informs that the Minister of Finance, Ipumbushimi, wants to regulate bank rates and bank charges. This is contained in the new bill on banking institutions. The new bill is to amend the existing Act on Banking Institutions No. 2 of 1998 at edit. The Bank of Namibia have numerous complaints from members of the public received about the exorbitant rates charged by banking institutions. As a regulator of banking institutions, the Bank of Namibia must ensure the rates for services that banking institutions deliver to customers who have to pay for the services are in the public interest determined and is in accordance with the costs incurred for those services to provide, he said. On the paper's page 3, a recent audit report by the Office of the Auditor General reveals that the Stampriet Village Council was unable to provide a detailed account of staff loans. The report points to a number of other irregularities over a 3-year reporting period into the Village Council's state of affairs. The AG said it found no supporting documents for external loans and related arrears amounting to 250,952 Namibian dollars for 2016 and 2017. Other accounting concerns highlighted by the AG include an unmaintained fixed asset register for 2016, 2017 and 2018. The Village Council further failed to record registers and release agreements for sites it rented out for the periods under review, while no registers or lease agreements for tenants liable to pay single quarter rent had been maintained for 2018. The Algebeine Zeitung today leads with experts in the region admitting that captive cheetahs can be released back into the wild. However, this calls for close monitoring of the animals in their new home. Meanwhile, the ministry remains silent. On page 3, the Namibia Investment Promotion and Development Board has announced that the Know to Grow Next Gen Entrepreneurs Showcase 2023 will be held in Swakopmund. The show aims to promote growth and innovation by providing a platform for small and medium-sized enterprises to access market access and development. At the forum, companies can connect with each other, showcase their unique products and services, and network with their peers. After the break, we continue with the second half of our newspaper review, taking a look at what's on the Namibian newspaper's front page.
To another exciting episode of Irongo Talk. We bring jou lees die weer en vertel ook vir julle waar die vis heel moontlik gaan byt.
Continuing right along with our newspaper review, the Namibian newspaper reports that mobile telecommunications company has been ordered to reinstate its estranged company secretary after a disciplinary hearing cleared her of all charges. MTC suspended its company secretary, Ndahambelela Haikali, in December 2021, barely 8 months into her position, for sending an open email to the company's shareholders. Haikali was also charged with 5 additional offences, including failing to conceal individual shareholders' email addresses. Lawyer Eliesa Nekwaya, who chaired the disciplinary hearing, concluded in May that Haikali should be reinstated with immediate effect. He said MTC failed to prove that Haikali was guilty of any of the charges brought against her. Some senior officials at the mobile service provider believe Haikali was a victim of a witch hunt. On page 3, the trimming of the public service is threatening the sustainability of the government institution's pension fund, says outgoing head David Nyoma. Nyoma painted a gloomy picture to the media yesterday after a closed-door meeting with President Hage Geingob. That situation, I doubt it will change for the better, he said, adding that this is typical with growing funds. As we mature, you have more people going on pension and the recruitments to replace them are less. So that then plays out in the contribution payment ratio being out of balance, he said. The Gender Ministry has also seen the same spike in this number of pensioners. This year alone, almost 10,000 more pensioners will receive the old age grant. On the New Era's front page, the University of Strasbourg in France has agreed to kickstart the process of identifying and verifying the origins of its various collections of human skulls, bones, and other artifacts. The primary aim of this exercise is to return artifacts whose origin can be traced back to Namibia. The latest admission and acceptance by the University of Strasbourg to return the human remains follows years of sustained pressure from the Ovaherero Genocide Foundation. On the paper's page 3, the main accused in the trial of 5 men accused of the murder of Walvis Bay businessman Hans-Joch Müller yesterday applied to have 3 state witnesses recalled for cross-examination. Gottlieb Panduleni, who was accused number 1, through his privately instructed lawyer Manga Siomunji, informed Windhoek High Court Judge Dida Usiku yesterday that they will endeavor to recall Inspector Helena Ashikoto, warrant officers Franz Nakangombe and Joseph Ndileowike to be cross-examined again. According to him, it is to clear up some misgivings they have about the officers' testimonies. Nakangombe and Ndileowike were the officers who arrested Panduleni at a roadblock in the north and allegedly found the murder weapon and some items of the deceased in his possession. Advocate Bason Lilungwe opposed the application and said that there's no reason to revisit the evidence of the officers. Market Watch reports that Luderitz's riches used to be buried deep underground, but a pioneering kelp farming project off its craggy coast promises to bring new, greener opportunities to the former diamond mining town in southern Namibia. Kelp Blue, the pilot run by a Dutch startup, grows giant kelp to lock away planet-heating carbon dioxide, harvesting some of it to make products from cosmetics to biodegradable food packaging and biostimulants used to boost crop yields and drought resilience. Diamond giant De Beers is one of the companies that has signed up for potential carbon credits from the project as it strives to reduce emissions in the years ahead. Now, emissions from energy use, industrial processes, flaring and methane grew 0.8% in 2022. More on this story after the break as we get into our economic news.
We are so excited to be kickstarting your morning with the entertainment. Everything was happening during this past weekend.
Yes.
Exciting news.
Wow, no, she was killing it already.
In my opinion, I don't see anything wrong with him serving the full term.
As well as keeping you informed on the issues that you need to know happening in and around our country.
Let's get into our economic news. Global energy sector carbon dioxide emissions hit a record peak last year, counter to Paris commitments. A key study warned and highlighted the worst ever impacts of climate change. UK-based global industry body, the Energy Institute, laid out the main findings of its statistical review of world energy, conducted with consultancies Kini and KPMG. Carbon dioxide emissions from energy use, industrial processes, flaring and methane continue to rise to a new high, growing 0.8% in 2022, read the study. The annual review was historically published by energy major BP, but it has been handed to the Institute. Primary energy consumption grew about 1% last year from 2021, or almost 3% when compared to its pre-COVID level in 2019, the review found. Fossil fuels remain dominant at 82% of consumption, despite a strong showing from renewables. Meanwhile, wind and solar power together had a record 12% of total electricity generation, helped by the biggest ever increase in capacity for both. Now let's take a look at the economic indicators, also proudly brought to you by Bank Windhoek. $23 Namibian and 88 cents buys you 1 British pound. Meanwhile, you can get 1 Chinese yuan for 2 Namibian dollars and 60 cents. Looking at selected NSX stock closing prices, they all maintained. Local index closed maintained as well, but meanwhile overall index closed on an upturn of 1.25%. Looking at commodities, all commodities are up, with gold, copper, platinum, Brent crude oil all trading on at 0.43%, 1.77%, 0.79% and 1.02% respectively. Now, Uganda government is looking for new investors after oil refinery deal hits a snag. Stay with NMH at 1 for an update on the full story as we get into news from Africa.
Namibians are still safe.
Everywhere else, the Supreme Court said we are not going to rely on foreign judgments. By all means, we try to not make journalists public figures, but at the end of the day, they are.
Very good evening. My name is Taiwan Jabela, your host.
With their Protestant offsprings.
But the implementation, like she's saying, is another thing.
We now expand beyond Namibia's borders to give you the latest news from the African continent right here on NMH at 1. Ugandan government is back to the drawing board to look for new investors for Uganda's $4.5 billion oil refinery after an agreement with American and Italian firms consortium expired last month. In a statement released on Monday evening, the Ministry of Energy said, whereas they have made great strides in the development of the 60,000 barrels per day refinery, they have failed to get funding after the project framework agreement expired. The government of Uganda is now open to receiving offers from public sector capital providers to participate in this nationally and regionally strategic project, the ministry said. According to the Energy Ministry, so far the refinery configuration or front-end loading 2 and the front-end engineering design, which define the technical design of the oil refinery, have been completed, whereas the project environmental and social impact assessment and commercial and marketing studies have also been carried out. Uganda in 2018 signed an agreement with American companies Yatra Africa, Baker Hughes and Italian firm Saipem SPA for the construction of the $4.5 billion oil refinery. The deal was to ensure the development, design, financing, construction, operation and maintenance of the oil refinery in Hoima district with an eventual capacity of 60,000 barrels per day. According to the agreement, the refinery was to be developed as a commercially viable venture with a regional market focus to supply products to the Ugandan and regional markets. Stick around after the break, we get into our international news.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights.
Somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouthwatering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours and let the culinary adventure begin.
Headlining international news this afternoon, the British Medical Association, which represents about 45,000 junior doctors in England, said on Monday its members were willing to cancel strikes if the government presented them with a suitable pay offer. We have always been willing to continue talking, Vivek Trivedi, co-chair of the BMA Junior Doctors Committee, said in a statement, adding that they will call strikes off if Prime Minister Rishi Sunak makes a credible offer. Separately, BMA's Consultants Committee also called on the government last month asking for a credible pay offer to avoid strikes on July the 20th and July 21st. We remain willing to talk and are very much prepared to cancel strikes, even at the last minute, should a suitable offer be presented, Vishal Sharma, BMA Consultants Committee Chair, said in a statement in response to a Times interview with British Health Minister Steve Barclay. Tens of thousands of junior doctors have staged walkouts this year to demand wage increases that match inflation, which has been running into double digits. The government has said such pay rises would only inflame inflation further, pushing up interest rates and mortgages. The BMA has said the latest pay offer of a 5% increase for the 2023-2024 was not credible since it was nowhere near addressing pay erosion over the last 15 years. Stick around as we get into local sports news right after this short commercial break.
Welkom op Kids Kompas. Hoe ervaar jy jou eerste besoek aan Namibië? Is al goed wat julle by PwC Namibië op julle wenslysie het?
Watse projekte het jy in die pipeline?
Ek moet sê, daar's 'n bekendheid aan Namibië wat ek sien, jy weet, dit herinner aan Suid-Afrika. Dis net minder donker.
So wenslysie het, paar taal. Ek vind daar is geen beter medikasie.
Ekonomie het 'n geweldige knock-on effek.
Met dit dat julle nie soveel beerdkrag het soos ons nie.
Let's get into our local sports news. African Stars Football Club has announced the release of a number of players in order to make room for new players. The 2022-2023 Deb Marine Namibia Premiership champions deemed it fit to make sure that they release the players as early as possible. The lessons handed out regarding ineffective game management will have to serve as a consolation for the Namibian schools team frustratingly narrow loss on the opening day of the SA Rugby Under-18 Academy Week held at Jeppe Boys High in Johannesburg. Namibia's cyclist Vera Lusa, who took part in the 4-day Engadin Bike Giro over the weekend in Celerina, Switzerland, took second position in the race after Adelheid Morath. Stick around as we get into international sports news right after this break.
Welcome to the Sport Wrap Show.
I'm in conversation with Harry Simon, who just won the fight against the guy from Malawi. How is it?
And for us Manchester United fans, a lot to be excited for. Met altijd voor doelskoppen geslagen dus.
Okay. And are you happy about the overall success of the event?
Our number one spot is... Indian boxer Lucas Ndafoluma is itching to fight again.
It's the Winter Wrestling Club's tournament today. It's the Open Championship and all these school sports. So today we're not that much. Yeah, I think...
Atenebo has been on my radar for some time.
Maxels. Safi skramskakel weer aangekeerd.
And now for the international sports news. After Sweden suffered the agony of a shootout defeat by Canada in the Tokyo Olympics soccer final in 2021, they are determined to go one better at the Women's World Cup, which starts next month, and give captain Caroline Seger the send-off she deserves. Springbok midfielder Andre Esterhuizen's appearances in the green and gold have been too infrequent for his liking, but his move to Harlequins made him a more complete player, and if he gets another chance, the big midfielder is relishing the opportunity. The British and Australian Prime Ministers have traded verbal bounces after a controversial test match between the two sides that has rocked the usually genteel world of cricket. If you're just joining us, this is NMH at 1, and we will get into the highlights from today's broadcast after this short break.
Welcome to Active Kids, a daily TV show that sparks creativity, learning, and fun for young minds. With exciting activities and lessons, Active Kids inspires curiosity and a love for learning.
New face to the
15.
The perfect mix of play and education. Don't miss out on the fun. Tune in to Active Kids on NTV every weekday at 10 o'clock and let the adventure begin.
You're watching NMH at 1 if you're just joining us, or if you need a quick recap, here are the news highlights. Government is back to the drawing board to look for new investors for Uganda's $4.5 billion oil refinery after an agreement with American and Italian firms consortium expired last month. In international news, the British Medical Association, which represents about 45,000 junior doctors in England, said on Monday its members were willing to cancel strikes if the government presented them with a suitable pay offer. In local sports news, African Stars Football Club has announced the release of a number of players to make room for new players. The 2022-2023 Deb Marine Namibia Premiership champions deemed it fit to make sure that they release the players as early as possible. Those have been your highlights. Remember to tune in every weekday at 1 p.m. to spend your lunch hour with NMH at 1, catching up on the latest news in Namibia, Africa and the world, ranging from current affairs, economic news, sports and international headlines. It's goodbye from us in studio, but we do wish you a lovely Tuesday ahead.